Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Houghton Talks. You're joined today by myself, Scott, and Jamie. No, as he is not well. Jay, you okay?
No, good man. How are you?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Busy week for Villa this week. Obviously started off with a good result at the weekend against Leeds. Young Boys now Thursday, followed by Wolves on Sunday. We're going to look ahead to both of them games. Before we do, we released a Guillaume Balaguer special yesterday. Had a lot of positive feedback. So if you haven't seen it already, go and check it out. Good insight into his book and a bit more of an insight into Villa and the rise of the club since Emery's taken over. So yeah, highly recommend you go that one. We'll start with Young Boys, Jay. Back to Europa League after a little break. We currently sit on 9 points in 6th place. Young Boys are 22nd, 2 wins out of 4, and they've lost the other 2. We obviously played them last year in the Champions League. Initial thoughts going into this game?
Yeah, well, just mentioned about league positions and stuff. It's the league positions are so irrelevant, really. Like until you get to the final game week, because one win can, if you're in 26th, 27th, one win can literally catapult you into the top 10. So it's very tight. So yeah, I feel it's nice as well to obviously we were never used to it growing up, but it's nice to have that balance between having the Prem, and obviously I know we got knocked out of the League Cup, but having that balance of other competitions. I liked when we played that Brentford game in the week. I liked when we play our Europa League games as well. It's just more football, and obviously we live and breathe Villa, so being able to watch more football is exactly what we want. So I'm buzzing for it. It doesn't bother me whether it's Conference League, Champions League, League Cup, second round, or Europa League. I love watching anything to do with Villa, so I'm buzzing for it.
Yeah, I think any European game that Villa are in now, not that it's become expected, but we are slowly obviously becoming used to Villa being in Europe, but we've had such a long period as supporters where we weren't in Europe. So now I feel like the whole fan base just relishes the chance of seeing Villa in Europe. It doesn't matter, like you said, what competition it is, who we're playing against. What do you make of the 5:45 kickoff? Because it's strange that it's an earlier kickoff in terms of an English club being at home. It doesn't normally happen that way around. Do you think that will have any effect on the atmosphere?
Maybe on the atmosphere, because people are still going to be at work. There's going to be people that I'm going to be able to make it. They'll probably be walking in after 20 minutes. It probably will make a difference to the atmosphere, because you notice a difference when you're playing at 5:30 on a Saturday, or you're playing at 12:30 on a Saturday. So I think it will personally. And just judge by our home games already, the Maccabi Tel Aviv one and the Bologna one. I don't think either of them were sellouts, and from what I hear, the atmosphere wasn't bouncing. I don't know why it's an early kickoff. I don't know if you know.
Nah, there must be a reason. Like I said, it tends to be. We've had 5:45s before, but they've always been away games. So without actually finding out I'm not going to just give a bullshit answer. There must be a reason, probably in terms of UEFA and something to do with them. But I don't, off the top of my head, I don't actually know what the reason is.
Yeah, it's annoying, really, because like for me personally, I'm only going to be able to watch the second half, so
Yeah.
it's awkward, but it's what it is. But yeah, strange, very strange.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of team selection, like I said, we've got a busy week, and then leading into next week, obviously after Wolves, we've then got Brighton away on the Wednesday. We then have Arsenal at home on the Saturday. We're obviously getting into that time of year where the schedule becomes very busy. We've seen that ourselves as we were trying to plan podcasts, let alone plan fixtures. So, do you think there'll be a lot of rotation, or do you think there'll just be a couple of changes?
Obviously, he hasn't done his his press conference yet, So we don't know who's back from injury, like Onana, etc., who has picked up a knock. But I would imagine you'd probably see Maatsen come in because of that. He's played. He started all the Europa League games, and then and yeah, I wouldn't surprise me if you see a Barkley either. Maybe a Barkley for Tielemans because if Tielemans just come back from injury, he might not want to rush him in because you have him starting on the weekend maybe. So so I'll probably I'll top of my head I'll probably say Marlon starting, maybe Maatsen as well, Sancho, and maybe Barkley as well. But I feel like our depth is good. Obviously, you have drop offs when you take the likes of Ezri out or Martinez out. But if you're replacing Watkins with Marlon, yeah, he's probably not up to scratch as a 9, as what Watkins is. But for a backup, you can't really go too far wrong. You're taking out. I know if you're saying McGinn for Sancho, I know they're completely different players, but again, Sancho isn't the worst player in the world, and having Maatsen, who got voted best left back of the Champions League 2 seasons ago, having him come in to replace Luka Dinis, you can't really go wrong. So I feel like depth-wise, we are very good, and even Barkley as well. I've always been a great fan of Barkley, so he offers us something that he offers us that bit of control that he's not up to the level of what Booba and Tielemans are, but he gives us that level of control of what we need, especially in a game where you might get a bit complacent, and he isn't as forward thinking as Tielemans, but he's going to be the only other midfielder that will pop those passes in from deep. So yeah, I'm hoping to see a bit of rotation personally.
I kind of feel like we're getting to the point where we do need a bit of rotation for these kind of games, and that's not me diminishing the competition. I just think now it becomes more about the squad. We obviously saw at the weekend against Leeds how important the changes were. I personally think you're right. I think Barkley, potentially Bogard as a 2. I've written down. I think Rodgers will obviously start because he loves him. Sancho, you'd expect to come in and start. I think Maatsen, maybe a Lindelof or either Konsa or Torres to give one of them 2 a bit of a rest. And then the big one would be: does he maybe start Buendia and a Marlon, or does he go with Marlon and Watkins? Watkins needs a goal, so does he try and play him into form? We obviously went more of a 4-4-2 slightly against Leeds at the start of the half, and then reverted back to the tried and tested 4-2-3-1. Do you think this is a game for Ollie to start, or do you think take him out and then try and keep him fresh for the weekend?
He's incredibly durable and reliable. He's always available, so I don't feel like he'd be thinking about the weekend in his head in regards to selecting Ollie. I think me and Az said on the Leeds review that we feel like Marlon plays better in a 2 because, chances are the other striker he's with is going to be the one closely marked, like in Watkins' case. So he has more freedom to run from deep and just has more space and freedom as a whole. So it wouldn't surprise me, to be fair, if we went with Watkins and Marlon. I feel like you see the best of Marlon when he's playing again, like I says, against another 9 where he's not being occupied as much. Whereas, you play him by himself, you see, off the top of my head, Spurs away, when he was playing with his back to goal a lot of the time. That's not his strong point. Whereas, if you've got another player that's getting the ball fed into him back to goal, and then you have Marlon that can run in behind, that's where he gets a lot of his joy and opportunities. So, yeah, you could possibly start the pair again, and you need Watkins to start fire, and that is a worry amongst all Villa fans, is just not breaking for him at the minute. So yeah, I mean, a goal for him would be massive as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to start both of them, and then maybe go with a Sancho and a Rodgers, and Marlon maybe more off the right. Gesson obviously hasn't been involved for the last couple of games, really, not in a starting position. Obviously, the whole thing with Harvey Elliott still going, but no one really knows because no one's about it. I wouldn't mind being involved I'm saying tomorrow, but Thursday, just because it wouldn't be so over reliant on Rodgers. I kind of feel you could rest Rodgers, you could rest McGinn, you could rest him and Kamara with the team that I would go with personally. Whether he makes that many changes, we don't know. But yeah, I mean, Elliott's still not making any of the squads. It's a situation. And like I said, no one seems to know. They've released, I know this is a bit off topic, but they've released the Christmas advert today, and Elliott's in the Christmas advert. And I see a lot of the comments saying, I've seen more of Harvey Elliott in a Villa shirt in the Christmas advert than I have in the games. And it shouldn't be made into a laughing matter, but you'd like to think if he's going to be involved this time from now, really up until Christmas, where there's a lot of games, surely if he's going to get any minutes, it is going to be now, unless he's got maybe a issue off the pitch or something like that that we don't know about. But can you see him being involved?
No. It's a weird one because, you know, he's probably everyone's most excited signing. I think he was yours, wasn't he? In the summer window we had, I think you were really excited about the signing. So for him just to, and to be fair, I don't think he's done that well when he has played. But still, no one was playing well when he was playing, so you can't really throw that on him. But it is very odd at the minute. It might have been a Monchi signing. I'm not sure because it's come out that Costa Nedeljkovic and I think it was Yasin Ozcan. Them two in particular were Monchi signings, and you know they're both now on loans with obligations to buy with options to buy already, and it is strange. Yasin Ozcan had, I think, 2 or 3 preseason games and then got shipped out. Nedeljkovic played. I think he was with us for half the season, and I don't think he started any league games either. It's odd. But yeah, I saw one of the comments on that Christmas video, and it was like, "Oh, do you think this counts as one of his appearances in the contract from the clause for Elliott?"
It is an odd one. Still, someone he comes out on social media, maybe, or like I said, Emery's difference. I don't think we're going to know. But like I said, we've got so many matches now. You know, like you were looking at the schedule. There's like game, week game, midweek game. So if he doesn't get a run of games or minutes at least, because he's not going to be fully fit now. You know, even if he got 20 minutes tomorrow, I think you see quite a positive reaction from the crowd. Even sorry, I said tomorrow, but see a positive reaction involved because I think a lot of people are keen to see him. Like you said, I thought it was a great signing. And a lot of people, when I went on the Spurs podcast, they were like, that's a really good signing. We would have had him at Tottenham. And for whatever reason, it's just not working out at the moment. But I think that could be a whole episode on itself, to be fair.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
In terms of a score for Young Boys, what do you think? Like I said, they've won 2, lost 2 in the Europa League. They're currently second in the Swiss League, 7 wins from 14. They've lost 3, drawn 4. Relatively decent form, but what do you think? Give me a score prediction.
I think it's another win for sure. I don't think I think it sounds weird to say, but I remember when we were playing the Conference League, we were playing against teams like AZ Alkmaar, who were like unbeaten in Europe, who have only lost like 1 or 2 games in Europe in the last 5-6 years. And I remember going to their place thinking, if we can get a point. And then I remember even when Legia Warsaw came to us, and I was like, it's just tough, you know. But I feel like we're at the stage now, and our players we have and the experience we've gained in these last few seasons is just like, you know, this Young Boys game on Thursday is another win. It has to be another win. So yeah, I'd go for. I remember it caused us quite a bit of trouble last season. The first 15 minutes, 20 minutes, they got at us quite sharp. So we nearly conceded. So I'll go for a 3-1.
Yeah, like it. I mean, I'll put down 2-0. I think if we score first and we score early, it will be. I think we'll be in not cruise control, but relatively comfortable. I think it needs to be. We need to try and make it as comfortable as possible. An early goal would help with that. I think they lost their last game in the Europa League 4-0 to PE AOK. They've lost to Panathinaikos. They beat Basel and Ludogorets, so they've not really played anyone of sorts yet. Listen, you could probably say the same about Villa as well, but I think Villa obviously go into it as strong favourites. Do you want to touch on anything else in regards to the Europa League game?
The PAOK, it's pronounced PAOK. That's all.
PAOK. Sorry.
PAOK. That's all.
I said PAOK, people might have been like, what the hell is that? So we've got both sides of the coin.
There you go. Oh, to be fair, everyone does say PAOK, but no.
Could you imagine trying to say it?
What's that?
Could you imagine Aaron trying to say it?
How did he say Estupiñán?
Oh, I don't.
Estupiñán or something, wasn't it?
I have to dig it out and put it on the TikTok at least.
Estupiñán.
Before we get on to the Wolves game, the last one that you and Aaron did, which was together, which I think was the Spurs one, somebody commented, my new favourite player pronunciation is Luca Digny. And absolutely, I was chuckling when I saw it. I don't know if I Snapchat, but he wrote it down as DIG and then space ANEE, because Aaron does say it, Digny. But yeah, we'll have to dig that one out and dig out this opinion.
Mate, my TV just started for some reason. No clue why. Bear with. No clue why that's just started all of a sudden.
It's now.
Eh?
That is now. Well, don't worry. Yesterday when I did the pod with Guillaume, we're on first name terms now. His phone, obviously, he didn't tell me who it was, but he said, who it was. So I've been thinking all day, was it Emery? We'll never know. Anyway.
It was Dwight York asking for another job.
Yeah. A podcast. Right, we'll leave it there for young boys. We're going to put Wolves into this as well, just so we're not overloading people with content. Wolves on Sunday, 2:00 kickoff at Villa Park. I mean, on paper, you'd like to think, well, it is a massive chance, a huge opportunity for Villa to really get another 3 points on the board. I think Chelsea are playing Arsenal at the weekend. Tough game. Not sure who City got, but if we can win again and add another 3 points, no one will obviously come above us. And if anything, we've got the opportunity to move up the table again. How do you see the Wolves game? They're obviously in a terrible run of form. Rob Edwards has now gone in. They lost in their first game with him in charge to Palace at the weekend. I've only seen the highlights of that game, but for all intents and purposes, Palace looked in pretty good control. And obviously, first game at Molineux, you'd expect the reaction. But how do you see the Wolves game?
Yeah, I think that Palace game was it 2-0? Was it
2-0?
Yeah,
I mean, the first goal was a bit of a crap goal, but then the second goal, if you see it, Pino curls one in the top corner. But on the highlights, I saw Palace were pretty in control. Highlights might never tell the full story, but you're kind of always expecting a new manager bounce. And I've got a lot of time for Rob Edwards, but from what I saw, there was not much of a bounce.
Yeah, it's I mean, it's weird because I've always said this so far this season. I've said, well, we didn't play Forest when they had their tricky spell. We didn't play West Ham when they had their tricky spell. And then with Wolves, they all had their change of managers. Now with Wolves, when they got Rob Edwards in, I was like, oh, typical. Like, we're about to play him, and they get rid of their manager and get Rob Edwards in, but it's just, I feel like it's not even about whoever they bring in. This is about the club as a whole. They can't keep selling, and what they're selling, the money they're making, the return on investment they're putting into the club it's non-existent. You know, they're not. I mean, they've done well to keep Strand Larsen, but I mean that has a release clause on it. I can't remember what it was, but it has a release clause in it. But you know, bar Strand Larsen, you look across that team and you just, you know, even just the summer just gone. You know, you look Semedo, Ain't Nori, even the ones gone, obviously Cunha as well. But you look at years gone past as well, just the recent years, just the players that they've lost, like because they were a European team during COVID under Nuno, and it's just I know he obviously got pinched for Spurs, but it's just from where they were to where they are now. Like you look, they were big on having, obviously they had Neves and Moutinho. You know, they just had such a good team, and you should look at them now, and it's just. I mean, I have zero sympathy for them because they wouldn't have none for us. It's the way it is, but you know, I can't see nothing else but a win, which is also worrying because this Aston Villa we're talking about. We could really throw this
Yeah,
out of hand.
I think when we played Sunday, I saw Dad in the morning and I said, we've got the chance to go fourth. It would be typical Villa that we put in a shit performance and we not bottle it as such, but we don't take advantage of the chance to get fourth. We saw it that season. We were flying. We had the chance to go top, didn't we? We played Sheffield United. They were doing rubbish. We bottled it. And in years gone by, we've seen similar. I think the first half against Leeds, we were obviously all kicking off on the Villa WhatsApp chat that we're all in, saying how bad it was. We managed to find a way to win. Credit to Emery because he got it right with the changes at half time. I think we have to be on the front foot against Wolves because they'll be so low on confidence that if you score first, and I think scoring first is always so important, but same thing as what I said against Young Boys. If you score first early against Wolves, the crowds obviously, you know, I'll give it the best part of 34 seconds before they're to the Wolves fans. But you know that would be bellowing out, and it's you know, Wolves have scored 7 goals this season so far in the Prem this year and conceded 27. You know, they've got minus 20 goal difference already, and it's shocking after 12 games to have a 20 goal difference. But Villa need to be an Unai Emery Villa and just get the job done. Similar to the game Thursday. Doesn't need to be pretty. We can go and win 1-0, and I don't think anyone would have any issues with that. But I think, like I said, with Chelsea playing Arsenal, and then we've got 2 obviously difficult games after in terms of Brighton away won't be easy, and then Arsenal the following week. These are the games that you just need to win and just get the points on the board.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like Emery. I could be contradicting myself here because we just beat Bournemouth 4-0 in our last home game at Villa, but we rarely put teams to the sword, and it feels like, you know, the game at Ellen Road, I get it was a hostile atmosphere, but as soon as that free kick went in from Rodgers, I was like, we're going to sit back and soak it up now and try hit on the counter. But that's how Emery plays. It's a typical Emery performance, and I just hope that, you know, it's we don't fall into that on Sunday, and we're not in the mindset of, okay, we'll get 1 and we'll be content. You know, we can really put these guys to the sword, and you know, we can really get 2, 3, 4s, and even 5s if we really want to. Like that Bournemouth game, I feel like 4-0 flattered them. I feel like we could have won by more. It's the same thing I want on Sunday. But it's just that thought in the back of your mind where it's like the what if, you know, we go hell for leather, they catch us on the counter, and yeah, it's just again, it's Villa we're talking about here, so you always think that something can go wrong. It's never plain sailing. We'll go 1-0 down or something like that.
You look at, obviously, like I said, you look at Wolves, 12 games, no wins. I think they're going to win eventually. And, you know, the longer that goes on, every time that someone plays, I'd be thinking, don't let us be the first team to lose to them throughout the season. I think I'd be a bit more worried if it was at Molineux. But obviously at Villa, you know, you go into it with a lot more confidence that you'll get a win. I think obviously we're doing this for the Young Boys game, but I think we'll revert back to the strongest possible 11. I'd like to see Maatsen get a bit of a run, and again, that's not me criticising the team, but I think he made such a difference on Sunday, and I think he probably deserves a few more minutes in the Prem as opposed to just starting in the Europa League. and same goes with Sancho. And I'm not sure how you get him in. Wendy is doing a good job at the moment, but he was quite ruthless with Wendy at the weekend, obviously at half time as well. But yeah, for me, I think that there is a chance that he'd go with the two up top. Again, we don't know what happens Thursday in regards to does he try that Thursday, but we obviously saw it. We've seen it against Burnley at home, and I know similar kind of team you'd expect Wolves to sit with a back five like Burnley did. So that's all obviously an option. Score prediction for Wolves?
I know you said they've only scored 7, but that still worries me. I'll go for 3-1 again. I think I'll go 3-1 in both games.
Like it. I'm gonna go 2-0 again. Yeah, fuck it. Makes it easier to remember.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think there's much more to say, really. Like I said, it's a busy schedule. We've got lots of games coming up, so we're going to try and get as much content as we can between.
December's ruthless. I think I spoke about on the Leeds game, on the Leeds review of Az. December is ruthless, and in January you'll only have like 4 or 5 games max. I think you only have 3 Prem games max. In January you have an FA Cup game, and then you have a Europa League game as well with the new group stage format. So, because obviously they ram December, so you have a lighter January during the transfer window. So it is the case of getting through December, injury free, still in and amongst those, where we are at the minute, those top 4 places, and then attacking January from there with obviously signings and like it says your new introduction of the FA Cup. And hopefully we've put ourselves in a good enough stead that, because I think January is our last. It's towards the end of January. I'm pretty sure is the last game, is the last match of the league phase. So hopefully we put ourselves in a good enough stead where we've automatically qualified and we can just, take the foot off the pedal and just relax a bit and maybe play. Give Bogard a full 90 minutes and like I said, give Lindelof a full 90 minutes and go from there.
I think we're hitting the stage now. I think the first 10 tend to be where everyone's kind of sorting themselves out. I think a lot of teams, a lot of beat in the league and whatnot. Starting to, the next few games and up until Christmas and go to the New Year, you'll slowly see where it starts to plateau and teams kind of fall into where they could be for the remainder of the campaign. And I think that's now it's quite important that we get into the routine of just churning out the wins, similar like we did in the year we qualified for the Champions League. We just got into a good habits of just churn out a win, maybe pick up a draw, churn out a win. And if you can get into January and you've won more than you've lost over the festive period and leading up to it, you're obviously set in a good position. But yeah, on paper, you'd think this week it should be 2 wins out of 2. It's Villa, and we know it's probably not going to be that easy. But I'll give you one last question. You had to win one game out of the top picking?
No, Wolves, 100%.
Yeah, me too.
I've got a 30 quid bet with someone at work who's a Wolves fan, so I want my 30 quid.
I mean, even if you didn't have the bet, who would you pick? What game would you pick?
I'll still pick Wolves. I think Prem has to be the priority. We need to get into the Champions League again would be massive for us. You can acquire a different level of player. I feel like you saw that last year with the money we spent in January with the players we got. If we're in the Europa League, we weren't getting Asensio and Rashford on loan, and so and it puts your club on the map in a completely different way. So yeah, the Wolves game 100%. What about you?
Yeah, along. Yeah, no question. Keep momentum in the league, but I think really on paper we should take this week, and then you then go into Brighton away, and if you could pick up another 3 points for Arsenal, then great position. So big week, and I think it will tell us a lot about where we're at in terms of the squad. Come the Arsenal game, where we're at, and aspirations going forward for the the rest of the 2/3 of the season left and whatnot. But yeah, fingers crossed we can pick up 2 victories. But I think that'll probably do us. Anything you want to touch on?
No, I'm all good, to be fair.
Right, cool. Usual stuff, people. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, hit the like, leave us a comment, interact with us on TikTok and whatnot. Go and check out the Guillaume Balaguer special, and we will be back probably after the Wolves game, just because of time, and we'll look back on both the games. But up the Villa from me.
Up the Villa.
Take it easy. Thanks for watching.